Yeah, guys, we're progressing. We're progressing. Progressive. So, just to recap, we could have picked any Democrat to be the nominee in 2016. We could have picked, if it wasn't Bernie Sanders, it could have been Elizabeth Warren. It could have been Tom Steyer, for all I care. It could have been any milquetoast, neoliberal, laissez-faire economic Mr. Bojangles. Unfortunately for the party formerly known as the Workers' Party, the social justice warriors banded together to develop a plan that ultimately led us to failure due to identity politics. Now, this was a plan not to grab onto the legacy of Barack Obama, but only to make the first woman president. The first woman president. So, without going through the motions of deciding a leader for the Democratic Party once Barack Obama gassed his last Native American at Standing Rock, we grabbed on to the most unlikably polled, most corrupt, justice obstructing, email deleter, foreign aid stealing, primaries rigging, no conscience, no empathy wielding super predator in the history of the Democratic Party. This was a woman whose footprint was so large that it destabilized an entire prosperous country, a once prosperous country, and turned it into a slave state where auctions are held in broad daylight. She was by far the most corrupt and the most unlikable candidate we've ever had in our entire history. And that's who we put up as Democratic candidate against a racist orange blob of a Republican challenger. And to our shock and chagrin, when the American people looked at the two evils standing before them and saw nothing but a soulless shell of a human being with a long history of enriching herself through our government service and a useless third grade reading level orange blob billionaire waste of a human being with nepotism oozing out of his eyeballs. When the American people looked at these two choices, they somehow came to the conclusion that they were better off and safer with the orange baboon. A pompous son of a billionaire who was bankrupted 6 times from casinos of all things, who got Bone Spurs notes for Vietnam, who never ever did anything by himself and put up shitty buildings all across the world. A weird-ass dude that has a combination walk of Fred Flintstone and Herman Munster. This guy, a former reality TV show game host. This guy. So anyway, people, that's where we are now. And I don't know why we can't just fess up to the fact that we picked the absolute worst Democratic candidate we could have possibly picked in the history of Democratic candidates. But we didn't. We just moved along and pretended it was Russia's fault, even though we all know what happened, guys. We were all there. We all saw it. We saw the Comey thing. We saw the Podesta emails. We saw the Pied Piper strategy. We saw WikiLeaks. We saw Julian Assange being hunted all across the world for spreading the information that Hillary Clinton is an abominable human being. For those of us who didn't see it, these were the people hiding behind Hillary's dress. Those are the people known as neoliberals. So anyway, that was the recap. So now, because of the popularity that the Russia conspiracy theory yielded, the DNC actually realized that they could get away with rigging the primaries. We as progressives, we've been battling against this superdelegate, no vote matters machine on a constant basis. We succeeded in eliminating them on the first round, and we were very adamant in collaborating with the Democratic platform. However, our toils have come to somewhat no avail because we are being treated like the red-headed stepchild of the Democratic Party, constantly disrespected, slapped around. They treat us worse than they do Republicans. Not only has the Democratic Party condescended all of our progressive policy proposals with their "how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it?" mentality. Say here, man, we need money for the endless wars, don't you know? How you going to pay for that? How you going to pay for that? How you going to pay for that? They've labeled every single progressive policy as pie in the sky. Never going to happen. You're just a dreamer. That's socialism. That's communism. We're America. We like to do endless wars and extricate all oil from other places, and so we can make money on bombs. Because they got away with it, they realized they could cheat in the primaries. Now, this time it's not superdelegates, guys. No. That's too obvious. This time, it's qualifying polls. So apparently, to get into the debates, you have to have so many qualifying polls by the DNC. So yeah, I guess that's not biased at all. So this is how these people are getting into the debates now. The DNC qualifying polls. There was a debate recently, yesterday. I didn't watch it. I already know these stupid bullshit policies these milquetoast neoliberals are going to spout. I already know what they're going to say. I already know billionaire Tom Steyer is going to be going around looking like Bridget Fonda, and it could happen to you, putting ice cream on people's apple pies. But I'm for climate change. I'm a billionaire. I'm the only billionaire that's not polluting the earth. Don't you know that? I already know these little highlights that are going to be going down at the CNN. Oh, debate 2020. So, but here's the bottom line. These qualifying polls get people into these debates. So what the DNC decided to do while we were all having a holiday, impeaching Trump with 2 articles of impeachment that are vague as fuck, and all of this wonderful buying and selling, consuming, manufacturing, branding, the American usual, business as usual. Our fun little war with Iran, our little standoff there. What the DNC decided to do while everyone was eating yoo-hoos and watching the television, they decided to not put out any qualifying polls at all. Zero. Zilch. No qualifying polls at all. So I'm trying to figure out, how in the world did they get these people? How did they get these people on stage? There was no Yang. There was no Gabbard. There was no Booker. Bummer. Because they didn't put out any qualifying polls. How in the world did they get the people on the stage? Nobody qualified. There was no qualifying polls. How did they qualify with the qualifying polls? Nobody knows if they qualified, right? I have no idea what the DNC is doing, actually. I think they're just making shit up as they go along, really. It's really convenient, though, how their wonderful carrots and sticks exercise is eliminating all the anti-establishment voices from the Democratic platform. Once again, I mean, this is the strategy. This is the system. This is a systemic infection. They don't want to talk about how income inequality is at its highest point. They don't want to talk about how Native Americans have a higher mortality rate. They don't want to talk about the things that are bothering the American people, student loans, debt with credit cards, high gas, the cost of rent. They don't want to talk about any of these things. They want to talk about Trump. They want to talk about impeachment. And they really, 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 really want Joe Biden to stay alive. Please, Joe Biden, please stay alive. They really, really, really want to talk about Ukraine, but they really, really, really want Joe Biden to not die. So I was watching the highlights of this last debate, which is really all I can watch because I'm tired of watching all this bullshit. I'm tired of watching people stand there and talk about things that we can't accomplish because we're too busy giving money to the rich with tax cuts and stealing oil from Middle Eastern countries with regime change wars. I'm tired of hearing all this stupid, stupid crap. Although it is very interesting because Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg are just constantly just switching shit up. Elizabeth Warren. Oh, I'm for Medicare for all. Oh, did I say Medicare for all? I meant Medicare for all who want it. Oh, did I say Medicare for all who want it? I meant Obamacare is really cool and we just need to fix some things somewhere. Please just don't talk to me. What? Corruption? Ukraine? What? I gotta look into that. I have a plan, but it's not written down. I don't know what to say. Pass. And then old grandiose Mayor Pete steps in with his McKinsey associate mentality and wants to change the world with his, I'm tired of the Washington politics as usual. I can speak 7 languages and I'm pretty smart, but I won't sit down with anyone without preconditions and definitely not someone who's not my ally because I'm a coward. Yeah, I've really outgrown that Washington perspective. I'm a gay man, did I tell you? I worked for the real-life corporation McKinsey, which is Dr. Evil's corporation. We burnt down rainforests and we polluted the waters. But I'm gay, so it doesn't matter. If you try to talk to me about my McKinsey influence, I'm just going to forward you to the social justice warriors, okay? They're the same people who gave us Trump, so, I mean, can't be bad, can it? McKinsey? McKinsey Schmenzi. I'm a gay man, and I'm a Christian. I went to Afghanistan. I'm an American hero. But I will smear Tulsi Gabbard anytime she says anything about getting out of regime change wars. So yeah, I already know that Bernie Sanders is going to talk about the 1% and all of the issues that matter to the American people. I already know that Elizabeth Warren is going to throw some shit together, say she has a plan, and because she's a woman, it's going to stick for like 3 days, the news cycle. She just tries to maintain relevance because